challenges in the BFSI world around buying, selling the technologies. So today with me, we have my very dear friend Hardik, who is the Chief Technology Officer at one of the largest financial institutes in India. He brings almost 18 years of experience around electronic trading, algorithmic trading, and data analytics. And today, with Hardik, we will uncover one of my favorite topics: how in today's world, how AI is changing the BFSI procurement. So, Hardik, welcome to Only BFSI. We are really honored to have you on this episode, and let's uncover this topic. How are you this morning?
All good, Piyush. Thank you for having me here.
Okay. So, Hardik, straight to the point. So, in today's AI world, and if you look at last 10 years, how BFSI is evolved in terms of buying technologies.
Earlier, buying was more of relationship driven. Large vendors had a significant advantage. The negotiation was mostly focused on features and commercials.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we would rely more on vendor presentations and the references given by vendors.
Okay.
But today, things have completely flipped. I mean, earlier it was the search engines, and now it is the AI chatbots. So I would research regarding a product uh, right into a chatbot with its competition, with about the features and all that. And before I even meet a salesperson, I think I am 60-70% aware about the product, like what it is all about and what are its pros and cons. And the first meeting is much more fruitful compared to what it was earlier, where vendors would just we would just hear from the vendors in terms of um, what the product
Mhm.
is all about and how it evolves. So that's how
So,
things have changed. Yeah. So by the time vendor calls me, I have often already decided in my mind whether it's worth giving a vendor a time, or should I just tell him like, oh no, this is something that we're not looking for, or it's not meeting our requirements.
so is it fair to say that earlier it was more like an reactive buying and now it's a proactive buying?
Yeah, definitely you can say that. Yeah.
So as you said, okay, so whenever there is a new initiative in the organization and you need some technology piece to address that, you said you get into the AI, you actually do your own research and then you start, evaluating vendors. What exactly happens next? How do you evaluate the next set of actions or the next set of stages?
So see, like there are multiple things here. So one is about a known solution and other is about an unknown solution. So say if I'm getting into a known solution, I know that some of my peers are using some solution. It's already there, installed in the industry. Somebody's using it.
Hmm.
Then it's just about the peer network. So like we're all connected through some forums and everything. And like my peers are just a message away where I would ask them like, is anyone using this? How is it going? How is the post support and multiple other things in terms of features, and also I would get a lot of insights regarding that product before I'm meeting a salesperson. So that's like my first scan, and then it's followed by looking at some communities or LinkedIn or some YouTube videos available on that product, so that I would know more about it. For an unknown solution, it's first the chatbot that I will hit to. I will say my problem statement. Okay, like this is what I'm looking for. What are the different vendors that are there in the market for this? Out of that vendors who all are catering to BFSI industries? Within BFSI industries, is it catering specific to my business segment or something? Any of my peers using it, and more comparing the features between the vendors, and then I would shortlist and say, okay, now this is the vendor that I want to meet, and then I would ask my peer network, anybody connected to this vendor, or do you have any
Mm,
direct number for that vendor or so. So It's different workflow for a known solution versus an unknown solution.
But what about those vendors who are already on your vendor list? Because in my previous stints, I was part of those list and we used to get calls, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
then if somebody is definitely on the vendor list, then it's no brainer. You just ask your peer network about the solution, the support, and how is it going, and then definitely call that person and just uh, ask him for a meeting, and that's how it goes. Then it's between the vendor and your past relationship, how things have gone earlier with the products that you have got from the vendor earlier versus your overall experience that we have gone through, and your relationship with the salesperson.
So let's say if I ask you from this particular category, the unknown ones. So if you meet 10 vendors, how many of them are the new you are meeting the first time, and how many of them you're existing or maybe coming in from your past engagements?
See, these days, like for the industry specific core solutions, definitely we have known vendors like working for a longer time in the same industry. You have almost all, you must have met almost all the vendors at least once, right? So for known solutions, I don't think that we are meeting any unknown vendors.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
with this new age AI solutions coming up
Hmm.
and AI initiatives and all that, there we are meeting completely unknown vendors. So it's like unheard companies of some are like startups who have recently started, come up with an innovative solution. So those vendors are very new, and you won't even get a lot of information about them on the web as well. Their website is like a very single page website with very limited information. But then once you meet the person and understand more about the solution, what is there on the table to offer, and also that's how it goes. So for new age solutions, specifically for AI related stuff, it's the unknown vendors that's more than known vendors.
Okay. And I mean, as somebody has just quoted a question, do you buy in situation where you were not looking for a solution, but product is introduced to you either by a vendor or a peer? Do you have approach to buy such solutions?
No, I mean, see, I have to justify that buying to my business, right? So it's not something that, okay, I liked something and I want to have it. So it should either relate to some business outcome that I have, or it should improve my efficiency, or it should reduce my risk. So I think these three are the broader categories in why we would have a solution for. So if it
Absolutely.
meets any of these criteria, then definitely I can go back to my business and say, okay, see, this is something new that has come up. And if we do so and so, then this is the benefit that I can see. And then we can go about it. Definitely, there have been instances when this has happened, and we have ended up buying that. So it's not a complete no go, but it should give us some benefit.
Okay. So Hardik, is a question because I come from the selling side. So typically, whenever it's a BFSI large institution, there is a sales cycle, and it's a long one, right? I mean, we say the sales cycle is minimum 6 to 9 months.
Mm.
Now, as per you, uh, where these this throughout this entire sales cycle, where the decisions get most influence and why?
See, definitely, business and the product teams are the most important ones
Mm-hmm.
in terms of decision buying, because that's where the
Fair.
real requirements come. So say if there is a push in quarter one for something to buy, and if it's taking 3 quarters to close that,
Mm-hmm.
and by the time in second quarter, if that push goes down, it may take another 1 quarter for us to get into something.
Fair.
So that is how it goes, that business and the product teams are the ultimate, they are the motivators to push for anything. But then internally, now, as you know, the process has become very complicated. There are more regulations that have come in. So multiple
Mm-hmm.
teams have to be involved into this buying decision. But ultimately, the push has to come from the business and the product teams, that they want
So,
something, and this is what they want to get it done for the customer or for some internal initiative, and that's where it goes about.
but so As you said about the business team, it's more about the ROI, right? I mean, what sort
Yes.
of an technology they are expecting and what is the initiative, and that should align with whatever the ROI they're expecting. But from, let's say now you are a technology expert, you are, the chief of technology. How you look at those decisions and where does it matter you the most?
No, sorry, I did not get what's the
So
perspective
from
here.
so from the product side, let's say from the product side, right? As you said, there are two sides, business and the product. So
Hmm.
from the product side, where do these decisions get influenced more? What are the parameters that you typically check in? Okay, this is the one that so as you rightly said that time, there are strictly no negotiation, and then obviously there is some flexibility around the parameters. So what are those? That's something that we are trying to understand.
See, business outcomes and the features that we are trying to offer to our customers is something of primary importance to the business and product teams.
Okay.
Technology evaluation sits with me or say my infosec team there, wherein uh, what technology are we putting in? Are we? It's not something that is backdated, which will, and going forward after next 2 years, we will be like we will have to rethink about what product we have brought in. So
Hmm.
those parameters is something on us to see that.
Hmm.
Infosec checks from the security parameters whether it meets, and the procurement and the legal team would check on all the contractual agreements. Like, are we not signing on any risk which is unknown to us, or is it meeting the overall policies and all that? So that's how it goes. So different teams that are involved have different ways to look into things. So yeah, that's how it goes.
So ultimately, it's a risk mitigation from all teams' perspective.
Yeah, I mean, see, business or product team is not going to say, oh, it's developed in one technology, so you don't take this. And if it's developed in some other technology, they are not bothered. I mean, they are not even going to go to that level. They are not
Hmm.
interested in saying that, oh, why it's not deployed in cloud one versus why it's deployed in cloud two, or whether it is on prem. That is on the technology and the infosec team to look into, to see like how is the risk being mitigated with all the parameters, and whether this vendor is good enough for us to say that, okay, is it meeting our technology requirements, it is going to support. If it's a growing vendor, is it going to come up with new features that my business is going to benefit in future? So that's how that's on us to look into all these parameters.
But then my sometimes me being a seller, I'm really curious. What happens when we are not there in the conference room? Because as a seller, we have all our basically objection handling templates to come across. But when you are internally meeting, and typically, as you rightly said, there's a business team, there's a tech team, and obviously there is an infosec team. How are you balancing this between innovation, compliance, and then the business outcomes?
See, it's a joint call to be taken. I would not say that one. See, earlier it was all about features and contract negotiation, and to some extent, I would say contract negotiation slash commercials. But
Yes.
now that everything is regulated and multiple teams are involved, it's like, combined decision making of all the entities involved. If infosec gives a red flag to something, I cannot
Okay,
supersede that
override.
decision and say that, no, I want to get into this. Similarly, if legal or procurement teams comes with some clauses that, okay, it's non-negotiable from the company benefit perspective, then I cannot say no, it's there, right? So you put forward all these points to the business and ultimately to the product team that, okay, see, we are at this particular conclusion for vendor A, for vendor B, for vendor C. Now you tell us like what it's in for you, like what risk or what business outcome are you going to achieve, and what you would want to mitigate from that, and depending on that we will decide on vendor whether we should go with A, B or C.
Okay. So now a very interesting one, as we started the conversation, you did mention about this that whenever it's an the known initiative or the known platform, we typically approach to our communities. And in my last blog also I written about it that this now becoming a new trust building
Yeah.
where there are communities. Obviously we have different communities, let's say BFSI, CXO, and then maybe an specific niche to it also. There are communities because we keep meeting each other in various forums, conferences, exhibitions, and all that. So how do you think now this is becoming very stronger in terms of, even evaluating or even considering before starting any initiative or buying decision? How do you see that communities are playing the role?
So see, it's very important. I don't want references from your side to come to me and I would go and talk to them. I want to
Oh,
independently find references. I want to independently find who is using your solution and have an unfiltered conversation. Because if I can't find independent users of your product, then that's a complete red flag for me, saying that, okay, I am not able to find users for that, and how am I going to trust the vendor directly? So definitely that's playing a very important role in overall decision making.
but apart from, I understand because this is very critical when you're about to take a decision on a specific vendor. But even before that, when you are just about to start hunting for a new platform or a new vendor, how exactly communities help, in this particular
Oh,
at
I
this
mean,
particular
see,
stage?
it's just about a simple WhatsApp, five words, like say anyone, any suggestions for good HRMS system, and you would get 10 suggestions from 10 different. Like it's the whole CXO community connected over some forum, say on LinkedIn or WhatsApp, and you just write something, and there'll be a lot of suggestions that will be pouring in. You can get contacts of salespeople and all that. And again, see, the vendor has to remember that only if somebody had a good experience with the vendor, then somebody is going to write that and forward that. Otherwise, a negative comment also comes in saying that if please be aware of this solution. So that's how it goes.
But it also goes beyond than that because right now
Yeah, yeah.
there
Beyond,
are a
so
lot.
see, like if somebody is my peer working for some industry and has given me number, or then I would uh, go to the next level, talk to him, ask for an appointment, talk to him, understand with him regarding everything. So I would go to that level, because see, that's important for my decision making as well, right? If I bring in a
Okay.
bad solution for my business, and if my business is not able to achieve its outcome, ultimately that's going to come on me, that okay, the technology team did not decided on a well thought of solution at the end of the day.
So even as you said, you get your even the salespeople's contacts through your community, or is it just
Yeah,
the
yeah, definitely. Why not? I mean, somebody or the other is connected somewhere or the other, right? If not that salespeople, if somebody's covering the other industry or other area, then he would pass on that references saying that there's a customer in this particular region who's looking for some solution, and we would get on a call. Maybe in couple of days, somebody would reach out to us. So
okay?
it's
Here's
no
a
more going on the website and filling that form. So earlier
oh,
used to be that way, that you go on a website, you fill in form saying that okay, this is where I want to have a demo of your solution. Can you please come in? Or again, we would just connect to LinkedIn. If I know just the name, I would connect on a LinkedIn and put in a short message saying that okay, interested in your solution. Can you please call back on this number? And that's how it goes through. So very simple, right? Why would I fill in a long form on the website when it's so simple to do and I directly know the person whom I can connect to?
okay. Here's one that is interesting coming out. So what is the modern BFSI leaders like you expect from a salesperson?
See, what I find is not that they are very much unprepared. I mean, salespeople does not know about the technical solution, so they just bring in just some case studies of other customers and try to pitch in. And for them,
Hmm.
BFSI is BFSI, but they don't understand the differences between a wealth management, asset management, AIF PMS, institutional broking, retail broking. And I mean, there are within capital markets also, there are so many verticals. Plus, when you say BFSI, it also includes bank, insurance companies, and everything. So it should be curated to my context. See, with AI chatbot, context is the most important. So again, when a sales
Correct.
person is also coming us, he or she needs to understand the context in which we are working, who are our peers, what are our use cases, what can be the possible use cases, and then advise us saying that, okay, this is what you're looking for, this is something that will be helpful to you, and here's the solution that your peers are also using it on my platform, or this is how they have achieved their outcomes. Then that will be a much more fruitful discussion, rather than salesperson coming and asking me, okay, how are your departments, what is happening, what not. That homework I expect them to do, instead asking me during the first meeting.
Very good point. Very good point. So you're
And
by
again,
saying it's Mhm.
domain knowledge is important, so they should be aware about. So it's BFSI is not BFSI for everyone. I mean, they should know the domain knowledge and the person whom they are meeting, so that it and plus the regulation. So the regulation nuances is very important, saying that, okay, what is their solution at par with the SEBI regulation or RBI regulation. So all these nuances are very important. You may not be knowing the technical architecture, fine, but at least this much is expected.
so basic homework has to be there. Like
Definitely basic homework has to be there.
what is the company is doing, what is the internal hierarchy or what they are into typically, as you said, whether they are into asset management, wealth management, or any specific vertical. Then you said they need to understand the domain side of it, what
Yeah.
goes into asset management versus what goes into wealth management. And then finally you are saying whatever is currently trending protocols, whether it's coming from SEBI or government or maybe the BFS as an industry, he should be knowing about it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And if I have to go one more level deep down, I would say that, see, if there are, say, ABCD features,
Hmm.
the salesperson should be very honest to me, saying that if your priority is ABC, then go with my solution. But if it is ABD, then you
Hmm.
better go with some other solutions. Otherwise, you will get stuck. But at the same time, he also tells me that, okay, for this feature D, I have this roadmap. So by
Hmm.
the time we implement this and you put that into production in the next 6 months, definitely we will be there. So if your evaluation that is important at this point, I am not there, but in 6 months down the line we will be there definitely. So then that would increase my confidence and trust on the person who is talking, and overall at the company, saying that, okay, no, they know what they're talking about, and it's not a mis-selling. So it's more of a advisor than a seller.
Correct. Very good
Yeah.
term that you use. They should act like an advisor. They should
Yes.
bring in that knowledge and homework, right? But Hardik, since it's my own domain, so do you feel relationship matters in this entire sales cycle, or is it just the pure product and the domain that he is dealing with?
See, I would like to take this other way around. See, in future, when because of these technology barriers going down,
Hmm.
and almost all product can be made very similar at one point in time. Say, as I told you, now it's not there, but 3 months, 6 months down the line, definitely the competitors put in each other features and all that, right? So then what becomes important is your historical relationship, and uh, how do you connect. So it's like, okay, if I can call Piyush even at 2 a.m. in the morning, because there is a production issue, and Piyush will arrange something for me at any point in time. That is something that will matter, because the technology barriers are becoming less and less as a constraint going forward. Yeah.
But Hardik, here's another, angle, because as you said, there's an unknown category of platforms or technology piece that you want as a company. And for this unknown category, I would say there are a lot many techie founders. Now, these techie founders are not, I would say, that sales acumen that a typical, the professional salesperson can bring in. Now, as you said, they might have a very good product to pitch, but sometimes, they cannot deal exactly how you expected, the way they
Yes.
should drive the conversation in terms of the domain knowledge, the preparation, and even I would say sometimes they are so much involved in their product, they miss some of these regulations that are, there from the SEBI. So, how would you like to advise them? how they should interact with leaders like you who are taking the key decisions for procuring any of these technologies, or I would say the AI solutions.
No, it's like they should understand that everything is important.
Hmm.
Like product features, technology, innovation on one side, but with the regulation coming up and putting, a hurdle right at the start. So now you have vendor risk audits, you have vendor evaluations, you ask about the infosec requirements right at the start, right? So earlier that was not the case. That would come up sometime later. But now that things are there right at the start, I think they're aligned. If they're not prepared, then they understand that, okay, no, we will not be able to work with this large firm with so many regulatory or infosec requirements, and we would better prepare and then again approach them. So
Okay,
even there are cases where, we are excited to work with them because of their features, but then with our requirements coming in from other teams, they would say, okay, let's take a pause and I'll come back to you after 6 months. So
but
that has been the case, but there's no choice. Like they have to align.
Hardik, here's my take on this. They you know at times leaders like you, they are very upfront to tell this. Okay, this is something that is not currently there in your product, so come prepared. But
Yeah.
sometimes the leaders are not that vocal. They simply say we'll look at it to this after this quarter, and that game goes on and goes on and goes on. So these guys are saying, okay, they like my product, they were so excited, and now all of a sudden there is no response. Why it is happening?
See, it all depends on like how many calls we have had. Like, so again, so first two calls we would not reach into that discussion at all, where I can suggest you something. I don't know your product
Yeah.
roadmap, where your company wants to go. But if definitely I am meeting you for the third or the fourth time, till that time, we are very much comfortable with each other, talking as to what's happening, what not. And I understand your company's vision as well, because I don't want to redirect. See, biggest issue with founders, I see that, they take inputs from everyone, and their product is like a masala for everything, so it's then
Wow.
not catered to something else. So they take inputs and then they forget their initial direction, like where they were headed to, because then the industry or some early players force them to go the other way around.
I agree. I agree.
So that's where they have to keep that in mind. And again, one more thing that they have to invest in very seriously is post sales support. I mean, see,
Yeah,
it's nothing like you just pitch your features, your technology innovation just during your sales. Implementation and post implementation when we are live, so production support and all, it's equally important.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where again you get another level opportunity to create that rapport with the company. And that's where you said when communities ask for such recommendations, so these experiences actually drive those recommendations on these forums, or even during the talks, or even whenever you meet personally in the BFSI world.
Yeah, yeah. And a
So
bad implementation story travels faster than a good pitch.
faster than, yes, yes, yes.
So
That's
any
a
any one wrong experience in the peer network, and I mean that startup would not see another contract from the industry. That's how it goes.
yeah. I always tell in my session that one good customer will bring you three another customers, but
Yes.
one bad experience will push away 10 new customers. That's
Yes.
the
Yes.
ratio. It's
That's
always
the
in the industry. Okay, moving to my next question. How AI is changing the procurement and vendor discovery? As you rightly said, I mean, you start the discovery, but even the other teams discover the same way as the product and the business team discover, because there is the infosec and then the legal part of it. So, do they also try to chip in their own recommendation, or is it pure like, okay, now since you suggested and the guys in the sales cycle will take our calls and move away?
No, that's not the case. See, all teams will try to bring in solutions. So, see, again, I am not going to just guide them on one solution, right? So, I'm not going to propose one solution. It's multiple solutions that's we are discussing about while taking a decision, and everybody studies that product in terms of, if not feature. See, we being directly connected to the business and the product teams, we would know about the features. But definitely from their side, they will look about like, okay, what one vendor is offering versus another vendor offering in contractual terms, in security terms, how cloud agnostic they are, or on-prem versus cloud, how is it going, how easy it is to, shift applications. So all that parameters are looked upon by everyone in the, or by all the entities involved in the decision making. So it's never one. And with respect to AIC, it's getting in more and more. So I think the first thing that any company needs to do is to make their website more machine friendly. Because as I told you, my first step is to get into an AI chatbot and read, and I would say, okay, compare product A versus B versus C. And
Very good point.
the chatbots are going to go to your company website or some communities or somewhere online where all these comparisons are going on. And if that puts some impression in my mind in a wrong way, then probably I will never come and connect you.
That's a very fair point, and I think everybody should take a note of this because slowly it is driving how even the initial stages of any sales cycle is evaluating.
And the kind of attributes that a chatbot is able to compare on, I think a
Hmm.
regular discussion with salespeople we will not be able to reach about. Sometimes I feel, oh, I have not thought about this, but this chatbot has given me this attribute as a comparison point to check on these product A versus B versus C.
Wow,
So
that's
that's how it is going, and definitely like it's just a start of all these things, but eventually all the entities involved, all the teams involved into buying decision would definitely use AI in some way or the other way. And
fair.
you will have some solutions which would be, residing with procurement teams, where you just put in your requirement and you get a handful of solutions coming out saying, okay, this is where you should connect and these are your endpoints. So yeah, something will definitely come up. I think there are vendors working on these kind of solutions, and those are going to be much more front facing than they are now, and that's how things are going to evolve.
So tell me, so AI is so rapidly changing the overall process, the overall dynamics of any procuring any solutions inside the company. What do you think it is going to do in next 5 years? Let's say by 2030, how do you see? So I'm not holding for any sentence, but it just, I'm a bit curious.
So it's going to touch each and every teams in each and every point in the journey that we are going. So as I told you that we are at a very initial stage now where we are using these chatbots to compare the features. Then the next step is, you can make RFPs. Probably the infosec team will use in seeing that, okay, what all security related feature security related feature comparison between the products, then pros and cons about what's happening. Then, as I told you, there'll be solutions where you just put in your requirement and you will be popped up with all the solutions that are available, which are like right matching your requirements. And then procurement and legal teams will again use it for their own sanity checks in terms of whether it adheres to the procurement policies. Legal team will check whether there our standard questionnaire, say you have 8, 10 key features to check in any master agreement, whether that is being catered to or not. So smaller agents deployed in each of the journey cycles, wherein they'll be giving us more detailed nuances, what is currently dependent upon human to get into, which will come out from machine then.
So
So
is
it'll
it
be
fair?
overall an assisted buying. So I don't see people going out of this whole process,
Yeah.
but it will be a much informed assisted buying. That is how I would like to put in. Yeah.
But then is it fair to say as AI is, making things faster, do you see that the overall sales cycle will also be little shorter because of now AI coming in and playing its role as an assistant? तो जो 9 महीना 12 महीना लगता है सेल करने को वो 3 महीने पे आ जाएगा. What do you think?
See, definitely there'll be reduction in some time. See, as is, it has become complex from earlier with lot of teams involved. and lot of regulations surrounding that. And again,
Yeah.
some policies also require mandate you that at least you have to evaluate three vendors. Then you evaluate three
Hmm.
vendors, you get uh, integrations are much more difficult. So it's becoming a complex web. How would you would buy a system and connect it to your internal systems? Then you have to also discuss on the implementation path. Like if you go with vendor A, then this is how it goes. Vendor B, then this is how it goes. Each of the vendor needs to agree to all the features that are to be implemented or to be integrated, and coming back with their own proposal. So all that takes time, but definitely there are. So if everybody starts using AI somewhere or the other in their journey, the response time gets shorter. Say, for example, if I pass on an agreement to my legal team, and earlier, if they used to have a tat of 2 weeks to come back with a suggestion, with AI and all, maybe that can be 2 days or 3 days.
Correct.
So that way, the times will reduce. But then again, the systems are becoming complex. So that's how it's. There will be a balance between the two. So definitely better than now, but not, it's not going to be a magic saying that okay, overnight we are deciding everything and onboarding a vendor next week. So that
No,
that
but
is not something that I foresee.
I really, I buy that statement where, even if it is AI assisted, but the overall process is becoming more and more complex because of
Yes.
more and more entities are coming in. And as you rightly said, there are more nuances which were not earlier there. We are also started evaluating that. So everything, yeah, the speed is there, but at the same time, there are more complexity. I would say there are
More
more pit
steps
stop
involved now.
now.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, more steps, pit stops to do it. So before we get into the rapid fire, my last question, uh, so any practical lessons from the field that rarely make it to the presentations? Anything that from your, let's say, last 5 years, anything that you see, this is something practical, but it doesn't become, as obvious as it has to be in the formal, conference communication or formal level of discussion.
Oh, I think more teams are evolved now than ever. And
Hmm.
the role of procurement team has become very important now, because they are acting as an orchestrator now in coordinating with all the teams involved.
Wow, I like this statement.
So right from
Absolutely.
the technology, business, product, legal, risk, everything they are involved into, and they have become a center point for everything. So they orchestrate the whole buying process, coordinate with all the entities, and finally conclude like, okay, we are going ahead, and that's where everything will be processed by them.
Superb. I really love this, the way you actually, concluded this conversation. Procurement as a orchestration. Great.
Mm.
Let's start with rapid fire. So, AI generated RFPs, is it a hype or a reality?
So that's reality. You can make 60-70% of your RFPs at this point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Cold outreach, more effective or less effective in AI era?
No, with increasing spam filters becoming more intelligent, I don't even see those mails. I mean, to be very honest, that gets into a folder, and at a time when you're just deleting your contents from individual folders, control a delete. I don't even know when something comes up or it goes off. So,
That's personally too bad for me to hear this. What about the product demo? Is it essential or overrated?
see, it's essential, but how it should go about that. You first have your, see, like, I don't know why a lot of product companies now usually have these barriers where you register first, give us your, then they connect for a meeting, and then we have the demo. See, it's nothing hidden now. If a chatbot is able to say a feature comparison, you just have a recording of your product demo so that I know if it's useful for me or not. And then when we personally meet next time, both of them are in much better position to take a discussion to the next level, rather than, meeting first to just show a product demo, which is like a complete waste of time.
Wow.
So it should be open environment. I mean, it's nothing hidden, and it's not any IP that comes out, right? There is product that you are out in the market to sell, and we are there spending our investing our time because we want to buy it. I am just not going to replicate or copy. And even if it's replicated, you have to be again ahead in your curve so that if anyone replicates, it's easy to replicate a software product now, right? I mean, I just give a prompt and a software code is out. That's not that's not the edge these days for a
But
company.
being a seller, I mean, I can tell you there are some, instances where we also want to, qualify the lead. And that's why that process is there where, we want to know whom you want to serve and how we want to serve. That's the person. Okay.
I know, but
Next. Okay. We will have a detailed discussion on that. Okay. So next is founder brand. Increasingly important or less important?
yeah, increasingly important, and with the new gen AI startups,
Hmm.
definitely that's more important. So say when you don't have your product being tested somewhere or it's not being used somewhere, the only thing that I have trust is, see, product I know you will build, you have technical skills, but
Correct.
then it's on the founder, what confidence a founder can give when he personally comes and meets us is the most important part. And what is their overall vision? As I told you, like, we don't want a founder who gets derailed when he gets into two, three businesses at the same time, just seeing that, okay,
Hmm.
I can get money from all and then I'll just deviate on my path that I was into. So, yeah, that's very much important.
Customer references, nice to have or must have?
Must have. I mean, I've already given enough examples on that, that customer references are important. Yeah.
Next question, though you answered, but let me ask it again. Procurement teams transforming or disappearing?
No, not transforming. Definitely, as I told you, that they are the key.
That's a that's a very big takeaway from this particular
Yeah.
podcast, I would say. Uh, Proof of concept, growing or dying?
No, growing, definitely. We want to see, like for new technologies, this is true, not for the established products, but for new
Mhm.
technologies, we want to see something before we actually end up buying that.
Large vendors, advantage or liability?
Seeds depend. It depends, like this answer. Definitely, scale and experience with large firms has an advantage. But again, I would say a bureaucracy within that becomes a liability. So a large vendor should leverage on the facilities and experience that it has and continue to be agile, because we have seen that there are so much processes and the stubbornness to tweak those processes that takes up a long time to work with large vendors. So agility, if they're agile enough, then yeah, happy to work with them. In fact, I would end up selecting a large vendor if they're agile enough compared to a smaller vendor.
AI startups, opportunity or noise?
Uh, Definitely an opportunity, but again, there are lots of noise as well, and it takes up a real investment of time in finding out the best ones from a lot of noise. Yes.
Okay. The final one, relationship selling, stronger or weaker?
No, stronger, definitely. See, as I told you, once the technology edge is blurring, it will ultimately be on the human relationships that will matter the most going forward. Yeah.
On behalf of the entire BFSI Tech Growth community, I thank you once again, Hardik, for your time and the wonderful nuggets that you shared with us today. And some of them were so amazing. The procurement as an orchestration, unknown versus known. Even that is something that I've learned today. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Piyush, for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Hardik.
you. Bye, Sandeep. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye bye.